Hi, welcome to the QuigBot tutorial series. In this video, we'll be going over the TB operations tools, which are designed to streamline your operations by finding the best way to assign units to everybody in your guild and deliver that information to your guild in just a few button clicks. Recently, we have launched a few new features to further enhance this product, so I hope that you find those tools to be helpful to you. As well, if you're not currently using QuigBot and think that these would be helpful to you, please consider reaching out to me so we can get you started. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So first you'll see we are on the QuigBot main page. So in order to access the TB operations after you are signed in and registered as a guild to use these tools, we go to this TB operations right here. We go ahead and click on that. And immediately we see this TB operations showing our Rise of the Empire board and a few other features here. Let's go ahead and look at these one by one. So first thing we actually need to do in order to use the operations is we need to load our guild member rosters. This will make sure that we know the gear and relics on everybody's tunes so that we can properly run the algorithm as well as display the results properly. All right, so let's go ahead and run some stuff now. So to get started, obviously, all things are going to come with a title. We can exclude players if we need to. So just for demonstration purposes, let's make sure that I'm not in phase 1, like it's going to matter. And then we can decide what planets we are in. They see at the beginning, it's really easy for us. We can select the first 3 planets. And immediately we see that on this right-hand side here, we have checkboxes for each of the 6 operations that are within that planet. And if we want to exclude any of those for any reason, we can really quickly do that here. So again, for demonstration, we're going to go ahead and uncheck these 3 just to see what happens. And then these 3 checkboxes here are for integrating with the Discord bot, which we will show later, but I will check a few of these as we go along and I'll show what they do later. All right. And then from there, we're ready to actually run this thing within the website. So let's go ahead and do that. And immediately we see a summary of what was able to be filled, what was skipped, and there'll be red X's to demonstrate what could not be filled. And as well, we could scroll down a little bit more and see some details about the operations. So from there, we can navigate to every single operation and immediately see who is filling everything within that operation. We're not filling this one at all, so it's all grayed out. And as well, we can go to the player details and see what each person is filling. And finally, I'd like to show that, hey, I am not in this list because I have been excluded from participation in phase 1. Okay. So there's the start. Why don't we go ahead and save that and move on to the next phase. So phase 2 is going to be a little bit different for us. So we're done with that first layer of planets. So we're on to the second layer of planets. So we're going to be on these 3. So what's really common in territory battles is we like to preload planets. When we preload planets, we don't want to necessarily fill all of the operations within that planet. Immediately we see that we can only checkbox entire operations if we want to filter them out. But say I only wanted to exclude one singular character or ship from each operation. We can actually do that. That's what this filter characters down here is for. So let's see what that does. Right? Immediately, we click that, we have this modal that pops up. And so what I can do is say I want to preload Geonosis, we can select that planet and then select each operation. And we're left with a screen of the entire operations tunes. And I can actually individually select which characters I'd like to exclude. So for demonstration, I'm just going to select one character in each just to make it easy. We'll make it this top left one. And from there, we are ready to run this one as well. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And we see the same thing, summary. And just to demonstrate in Geonosis, if I open up each of these operations, we see that we are excluding that top left character in each operation. So that is working as we'd expect it to. So let's move on to phase 3. So from there, we are still going to be on Geonosis, but let's say we moved on to Tatooine, Zepho, and Kashyyyk. Just like in the last phase, why don't we go ahead and filter Zepho? Because typically we're going to be there for a few days. So again, I'm just going to filter out those top left operations. There we go. And let's go ahead and run this real quick. So just like we saw in the phase 2 operations, if I go to Zepho, all of my operations are almost filled, except for just that one. However, notice that we were on Geonosis for the second time. If I go to Geonosis, all of these operations are still filled in, except we know that from the last phase, we excluded just that one, and most of these others are already going to be filled in. We do have a feature for that as well. That is where this previous operation comes into play. And so what we can do here is define our previous operation as phase 2, and that will automatically see which planets occurred in that previous phase and know how to filter out what should already be filled at this point. So let's see that in action. Go ahead and run this again. Immediately over to Geonosis. We now see that only that top left operation is filled because it knows that everything else was filled in that previous phase. Next, I want to demonstrate what happens when we are unable to fill operations within a phase. All right, so we can go ahead and save this. And we're going to make this one a disjoint one just to demonstrate what happens here. But I'm going to go ahead and select these phase 5 planets here and run this. And we can see that in the summary, there's that red X that I was talking about earlier. We cannot fill operation 5. So I want to show what that looks like really quick in Vandor. So if you are unable to fill an operation, what we will see is whichever unit cannot be filled is grayed out, and you'll see that all the other units are left unassigned. So we're not going to have a situation where people will be deploying units inside of an operation when we know that it cannot be filled. So you can see that there's a lot of different mix and match ways that we can use this tool in order to figure out what our best platoons are and help us strategize what routes we want to take to maximize the relics that our guild has. All right. And so finally, what I want to end this tutorial with is how to use the commands within Discord. So we're going to jump over to Discord real quick. And I have this empty channel here where I want to actually run my TB operations. You saw there was a couple check marks that I was clicking on, so let's run through each of these. So for one, in operation phase 1, I only checkmarked the one that said the guild overview. And what that'll show is just a quick modal that demonstrates which operations are filled and which operations are not filled. Pretty straightforward. In phase 2, I selected this page as well as the member assigned list, which will show all of the operations that everybody is assigned to fill here. If we go to operation 3, I selected the checkbox that sends DMs. As long as the member of the guild is registered with the bot, what will happen here is we will run this, and that member, every member of the guild that's registered, will receive a DM from the bot telling them what their TB operations are for that phase. So I can click over to that, and we see that this dev bot is showing me these are my operations that are being used in phase 3. And that wraps up this guide. Again, please reach out to me if you would like to begin using QuigBot for your operations needs, and also check out what other features that the website has to offer. You'll find the links to my Discord, the website, and my Patreon in the description, so please check those out. I'm Quig, and thanks for watching.